back to Here for the Beer. I'm Amy. Today we are at 40 Putney Road Bed and Breakfast, our bed and breakfast here in Brattleboro, Vermont. We're joined by Shane Welch from 6 Point Craft Brewing in Brooklyn, New York. Shane, thanks for coming out.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. 6 Point is a small brewery, and maybe not a lot of people know too much about your brewery. Can you tell us a little bit about the history?
Sure. Well, right now, it's almost 5 years old, and we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary in a few months in February 2010. Most people wouldn't know about it unless they live in New York, because over 90% of all the beer that we make is sold within the 5 boroughs, and we're only on draft. So the fact that we're a draft-only craft brewery that sells all of its beer in about a 20-mile radius would make it, if you live anywhere else in the country, unless you're really into this scene, you probably have never had it. That aside, it happens to be booming in terms of our production. And so back in 2005, which was our first full year of production, we sold just under 800 barrels. We did like 790 barrels, 792 barrels. And this year, at the end of 2009, we'll do a little over 8,000. So it's grown tenfold in that time. But it was not smooth all the way through. It has been very tumultuous, emotional, catastrophic. We've had some serious disasters, including the brewery burnt down at one point in time. At that point in time, we had to shut everything down naturally, and we didn't have any money either, so we were going to fold and basically just end it. And then people are like, you can't do that. And they wanted us to go on. This was like in 2006, early 2006. And we did the only thing we knew how to do. Like, we didn't have any money or we didn't have any resources, but we had a big network of people who wanted to see us survive. So we sent out like this enormous email blast and called everyone that we knew. And the only thing that we had of any value left, because we couldn't get any more grain or hops because the wholesalers, ingredient wholesalers, cut off our credit because we were overdue on all of our invoices. And so they refused to send us any more ingredients either. So
you have no brewing equipment, no ingredients.
We were screwed.
Right. Oh my God.
So and then we had extended our credit. I had maxed out my credit cards to finance the ongoing liabilities of the brewery. And so I didn't have any more personal credit. I extended my personal credit too that I had at the bank. So the only thing left that we had of any value was like our network of people, and then whatever inventory we had of beer that was not sent to the distributor that we had just left in our walk-in cooler at the brewery. So we just threw like a massive party, like a block party. It was like Save the 6 Point Brewery night. What happened too is like shortly after that point, we hit a point where like the brewery started to actually have more money coming in than going out. Like up until that point, it was just every month it was going deeper and deeper into debt, even though sales were growing. It was really bizarre. Like, you'd think that if you have a business like a brewery where the sales are going up, that everything is good. But we were just like digging ourselves deeper into debt because when you're like really, really young and small and sales are booming, what happens is you have to constantly get more kegs, more equipment, larger inventories, and so that cash outlay that you put out there, it outpaces what is coming in, and it's actually it's actually more difficult to go through a high growth period in the beginning than if it were like really slow, steady growth. So
how did you guys pull out of this? I mean, the community helped, obviously, but...
I mean, lots of personal sacrifices, basically using all the personal credit that I could have to finance these things. And then I had to give up my apartment, so I lived out of the 6-point van for a while.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then I lived at the brewery for a while. So like we eventually took over this adjacent garage space, and I lived in this garage for a while. And it's really great that there's basically equipment or a piece of property or something out there in this world that just about everyone has written off as junk, and that if you have an idea and you have a little bit of motivation and elbow grease, you can like turn it into something that people really are energized by, or an entire family out of it, which is like the next wave at 6 Point. Like, a lot of people are asking, like, what are the plans for the future? Like, do you want to do bottling? Do you want to, you know, make this massive distribution push? But really what we've been doing is internalizing everything. So like, we're building the brewery out to be like, you were down there like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You should try come next time you're in New York. You should come down. It's like, it's totally different. It's like a house, and we're turning it into like a house with a brewery attached in the backyard. So it would be cool. You could actually have like a fully functioning hospitality center. So like, if you and Tim came into town or whatever and you needed a place to stay, you could literally stay at the brewery.
So Shane, tell us about your beers, starting with what we have here.
Okay, well the beers, a lot of them you could say, yeah, they are mine, but they're really more the effort of everyone who works at 6 Point. And really what I try to do is I try to create an atmosphere to have the brewers think like and design things in a certain technique that is a blend of scientific approach with more of a craft approach. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's precision involved and there's accuracy, but then there's also when craft is more qualitative.
Okay.
Right?
So what brands can we expect to find?
Well, there's 4 main varieties that you'll find out that you'll see most prominently. There's Sweet Action, Righteous Ale, Bengali Tiger, and the Brownstone. Those ones were elected by the public to be the 4 brands. We've never sat down and thought, let's design a recipe that we feel that we can build a company around. We took a very unconventional approach that I had hundreds of homebrew recipes that I was ready to put into action at the brewery and sort of produce on a bigger scale. So what we did is we brewed all these, like we brewed 40 beers in our first year, and we just kind of released them. And we just put them out there, and we let whichever ones depleted fastest, we knew were the ones that we should brew, or that we could actually build a business around.
Exactly. Well, Tim and I were at your brewery nearly 5 years ago, and 6 Points has always stuck out in my mind as a place that I want to go back to and beer that I want to drink. And after talking to you today, it's you have an amazing story. On the verge of poverty and shutting down your brewery, the community steps in to help out. It's absolutely impressive, and you're so loyal to your community. So even if you don't get any bigger, I am sure that people are going to make the trip to Brooklyn to try your beer because it's fantastic. Shane, thank you so much for coming out today.
Absolutely.
We really enjoyed having you. It was
Absolutely.
so great chatting with you. Cheers.
Cheers.